as the boats manoeuvre in pre-start. Pretty well getting down to the business end, Martin, with just coming up to 2:10 to go. And Martin, I think this race is won and lost off the line.
Well, we always say
on a downwind start, whoever can get a jump off the line, very hard to pass.
Well, somewhere along that line is the optimum position, and that's what these boats are jockeying for now. The most fatal mistake any of them could make, as we saw in the Pro-Am race yesterday, was to be over early. Telefonica was over early yesterday, and had no choice but to trail the fleet the whole way around. So this time on distance is absolutely the key.
Yeah, absolutely. Time on distance. The setup, getting the angle right, the approach to the line, and then how long it takes that speed build to build. You're not allowed to be early. If you jump the line, you've got to return. So we've got Groupama to windward of Camper. They will, in fact, go from left to right in terms of the exit from the line. We can see the committee boat just coming up to 108, Ian Walker.
How he would like to win this race in his own waters. You can see the tension on him there. That's a man under pressure. 1 minute to go. Mike Sanderson, if you're back with us now, who do you like the look of?
Yeah, well, it's very interesting out here. Camper definitely found themselves too early with 1.5 minutes to go, and now in a fairly tricky position. They've got Groupama to windward, they can't tack. Yeah, there's plenty going on out here. The guy's just coming up to 40 seconds, and yeah, there's some boats in quite interesting positions.
Yeah, coming up for just 31 to go. We can see Camper going bow down. They have their downwind sail already hoisted. It hasn't broken out, so the sheet hasn't been brought on. Coming up to 20 seconds to go. Ian Walker hunched as Camper now comes towards the committee boat end. At the leeward end, we've got Puma. It's just a matter of who can get the push off the line. And here's the top team so far, and they're looking strong again. So it looks to me as though Telefonica are looking very strong down at that pin end. Camper coming in at a deep angle here, Martin, around the committee boat, so their speed build will be compromised. Down the leeward end, we've got Puma. They're fully powered up. And Kenny Reid, look at that aggressive move as he comes round behind Telefonica. Camper coming round the windward end. It's about the speed build exiting the start.
And we're underway in the Etihad Airways import race here in Abu Dhabi. And the breeze has held in. How great that is to see. And they're off.
They certainly are, and there was certainly some different philosophies off the line, but for me it looks like Puma have taken the initial leap off the line. Camper looked very deep and slow. Groupama coming up behind Camper. So on board now from Camper, Groupama pushing down behind Camper. The trailing boat required to keep clear. The boat's getting very close. You can see, look at the gust on the water. I guess that could be the effect of a helicopter.
Well, Mike Sanderson looks like Kenny Reid in the box seat there. Great start, Puma.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Kenny did a nice job for sure. Camper and Groupama found themselves well too far up the line and had to really struggle to get down to the start boat.
Okay, look up the track for us, but well, at the moment, hang on 1 second, we're just looking at these two boats sailing through the spectator fleet. What a view the spectators are getting, but this is pretty hairy stuff, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. The fleet, these boats are doing like 13, 14 knots through the spectator boats, and really is exciting for the guys. The breeze has gone right, which is why the boats have ended up way up here. And for sure, we're into a breeze transition here. Quite a split breeze between what Camper's got out here on the right-hand side and what, for example, Abu Dhabi's got out on the left.
Now, Mike, looking back, if there's been a change, there's a change coming in the wind. What side of the course now, if the sea breeze effect is coming in, what side of the course looks good?
Yeah, well, the big question is, you know, can Camper and Groupama, who are out this windward side, can they get some sort of shift to go back across to more in the middle of the fleet? The nice thing is it's actually turned into a true run. The wind direction shift has actually turned the run into a true run, and it's very even across the course here. You know, looking here, I would doubt whether Camper could cross Puma, for example, at the moment, so there's plenty going on.
Now, Mike, we're looking on Camper, Chris Nicholson gestating towards the spectator boats. With the wind shift, Martin, they're pushing now into the area where the spectator boats are, and again, it's these obstructions, these things that happen on a racetrack that are unexpected, brought about by the wind shift.
Well, you can hear the ferocious roar of engines in reverse, I think, as people try to get out of the way. And they were expecting a bit of a thrill here, but they've had more than probably they asked for, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all go at the moment, and it looks like Puma must have got a penalty. Puma's going into a penalty turn, but back with Camper, she's got plenty of good breeze and actually has sailed back into the old wind direction, so it's been headed back down.
Mike, I'll jump in. Remember in the pre-start, let's talk about Puma. They actually had to luff to get round behind. I'm just trying to remember at that top end. Telefonica. Maybe they failed out at that point. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we were up the other end of the line, but that's either they. The most likely scenario is that they touched, you know, a backstay or something on Telefonica as they tried to get up around the back of her. But she's now completed her turn, but that'll be a big blow for those guys.
Well, you can see the amount of work that's having to go on here to try and get reorganised and to get back in this race. And how expensive is that, Peter?
Oh, it's a game breaker, really, because you do the penalty turn. We can see the Jenica has been dropped on the deck. They've done their turn, now they rehoist, and that will put them probably at the back of the fleet. We can see no boat speed, Spinnaker on the deck. That's a very costly penalty against Puma.
And we could also see there, as they try to get Puma going again, just how punishing this race is when you've only got 10 people on board to do all the work of what really should be 16 or 17 people on a 70-foot ocean racing yacht. And this is just going to be absolute heads down for them the whole time. We were talking earlier that a lot of these guys, you know, apart from the horror of a penalty turn like that, they won't even have remembered anything about this race, because they'll just have been working.
We're seeing again a big split in the field in the context of quite a short downwind. And over on this right-hand side, we've got Groupama forward of them, we've got Camper, and we can see Telefonica positioned nicely. And then all the way out the other side, and it could be a bit of local knowledge, but that with Abu Dhabi Race, the Ocean Racing, right over on the left-hand side of the course. Mike, this one at the bottom mark, there's a big split.
Yeah, I mean, I think Camper and Groupama, as we guessed before the start, I think this side of the track looks like it's paying pretty nice dividends. You know, to my eye, for sure, Camper and these guys over this side are a lot closer to the bottom mark. So, no, it won't probably matter what shift they get to get back. It looks like they've made enough headway in their closure to the bottom mark to take this one out.
So Camper have made the jump off the line. They looked a bit quiet. They were a little bit early. They were sailing deep around the committee boat. But you've got to believe that Nicholson Martin wanted to go this way. Their weather prediction, those tactical choices in terms of pre-start, at this stage it's paid off for the Camper team.
Well, I did see earlier on, I saw Will Oxley, the navigator who would have been making the calls, pointing exactly where he wanted to go. And clearly that was a game plan that has been executed here on board the Kiwi boat.
First jibe coming up, so Nicholson now winds the boat down. He's steering from that leeward position. Camper jibes through. They're using their A2 Jenica. Now this sail is just one that they use on the inshore races. It's got a soft luff. The offshore sails have a rope luff in them for sailing tighter angles, but these sails that all the boats are using are specific sails for the inshore. We're now looking down towards the bottom mark. Camper have jibed, Groupama have jibed, and as we pan round, we'll look for the yellow Jenica of Abu Dhabi, but it looks like Camper have a solid lead.
Well, that's what it's looking like to us here as we view the pictures coming into our commentary box at Abu Dhabi, just opposite the destination village here. Mike Sanderson, you're out on the water. How's it looking for you now?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And now that the guys have jibed, the breeze is down, and they're certainly jibing through, pretty big angles. Abu Dhabi's not looking that bad out the other side. Very interesting, it'd be very interesting to see on the virtual eye how it looks for them.
Which is what we're looking at now. Very accurate with your own eyeball there, Mike, because the lead is reducing rapidly from 50 metres. It's pouring down as the boats approach the first mark in this race, the first gate. It's down to something like 39, 40 metres. Camper's still just got it, but whoa, there's absolutely no doubt about it at all that Abu Dhabi is chasing them down.
They certainly are. This is going to be close at the bottom mark, but it's Group Armour who are rolling over the top of Camper, and if Group Armour can just push forward a little bit more, they'll put the airflow down onto the leeward boat. So it's Group Armour showing again this phenomenal speed they have on anything when the wind is from behind. They may well have just snuck into a little bit of a bit more pressure. Mike, Group Armour, they're rolling over the top of Camper.
Got some good wheels once they as soon as you see a hint of Group Armour's bow coming out, for sure it looks like she's got good pace. But Abu Dhabi, the home favourite, is going to lead round the bottom mark from my eye. So that'll get a pretty big cheer from the boats around me.
It certainly will. At the moment we're watching this duel between Camper and Group Armour, and this is going to be a matter of some concern on the Emirates Team New Zealand boat, should it turn out that it's a pure boat speed issue, because this is something, a little Achilles heel, if you like, that they've been trying to address. But at the moment it looks like they're holding it. But Ian Walker is the one who's coming in now on Abu Dhabi. He took a flyer out on the exact opposite side of the course, and boy, is that looking like it's going to pay dividends.
Oh, big separation off the line, and it's the team that have really benefited from this is Abu Dhabi. They're coming in, they're going to lead at the first mark.
And like Mike Sanderson said, this will be a big cheer. We're on board here. There's Adil Khalid there, and this couldn't be better written for him, could it really, if it turns out that this is a winning move. There's Ian Walker, absolutely concentration personified. He'll just be a bit between the teeth.
Oh, they've got a solid lead, so it's Abu Dhabi Racing coming into Mark 1, and off comes the yellow Jenica. The Genoa's already up. They're going to come round the left-hand gate, then they'll go back upwind towards Mark 2. So it's Abu Dhabi Racing leading the inshore in the import race here in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi.
Okay. So Ian Walker on board Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing. They lead here in this Etihad Airways import regatta, the import race here in Abu Dhabi for the Volvo Ocean Race. Group Armour comes around, followed by Camper.
So Group Armour did manage to get over the top of Camper. Now they're taking the opposite gate. They're heading out more out to sea. So Group Armour ahead of Camper, and Puma coming also in from out.
Good recovery.
Good recovery. They had to do that penalty turn off the line. So Group Armour come round. Camper here might have the opportunity with just a little bit better trim to get on the inside of Group Armour. Group Armour would exit from the mark. It's a little bit slow, but Telefonica are taking the other end of the other gate. So Telefonica are in quite good shape.
Well, we're seeing Mike Sanderson, we're seeing the coin being spun, and there are two options up here. Where would you rather be?
Well, I think one of the big things there was, what mark you were kind of lined up for as you came into. But sort of floundering at the other mark at the moment, so hopefully they get that sorted. But yeah, I think the boats basically went round whichever mark they were most lined up for, and which is why you've seen the split here. But I think we can probably expect to see Abu Dhabi tack anytime soon and just go and set up strong on Camper and Group Armour, who went round the other mark.
Well, this is Puma Ocean Racing trying to make up ground out of their disastrous penalty turn, and that's, well, I mean, it's really, you would think that that's their race done and dusted.
certainly
pretty sad.
You pay a big price. And he was looking at off the line, Puma was looking famous, but just their time on distance, a little bit too aggressive. Kenny Reid always aggressive as they come round Mark II.
Be pretty gutted with that. Will Kenny Reid there on the right-hand side of your picture, looking at the backdrop there, this stunning backdrop of the skyline of Abu Dhabi, and he won't like that view because he's got the rest of the fleet in front of him.
So Mike, as you look up the track, you know, it's an upwind. How's it looking, left or right? Is that sea breeze? Are we seeing more change coming?
Our Abu Dhabi have just picked a really nice time to tack back onto port tack and come over and consolidate on the fleet as we kind of guessed.
We just lost Mike there momentarily, be thumping back up the course.
Well, Mike, we're just saying that Abu Dhabi coming back to consolidate on Camper. So Abu Dhabi coming across on port, and we'll look down to leeward and you'll see Group Amar and Camper, but Abu Dhabi have done a fabulous job on that on the start first leg. So
this is Adil Khalid there down in well, what they used to call the sewer, and he's getting the Jenica in, and it'll get resorted, packed up, ready to go, hoisted again. There couldn't be a hotter job for anybody on the boat on a day like this, and as we were saying before, there are just so few people anyway to do all the work, and that's the local boy working hard at it. And here we've got that boat, Abu Dhabi, running nicely ahead of Camper on port tack.
Yeah, guys, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but it doesn't look like Abu Dhabi can cross Group Amar. So Group Amar, who chose the left-hand mark looking downwind, I would be surprised from my view here whether Abu Dhabi can cross Group Amar on port. So we've got an interesting cross coming up here.
So Mike, what are you looking at? Are they able to do a leave-out tack? It's pretty hard to do one of those in these boats, the limited crew. What's the tactic for Abu Dhabi?
I think Abu Dhabi can really choose which side of them they want, and actually it's just looking better for Abu Dhabi now. So yeah, this could be a pretty vital cross. I think if Abu Dhabi wants to hang on to the left-hand side here, that you have to go early if they're happy to take the risk and try and cross or dip. Then there are only two choices.
Well, we've got three boats in picture as Abu Dhabi going across on port. Looked like they were just clearing Group Amar. Oh no, that gives it. Here's a dip coming up. So down come Abu Dhabi. They're going to have to come behind Group Amar. Group Amar with starboard right. So we've got a lead change on the second leg, and it's Frank Camas and his team in Group Amar. They take the lead. Well, Martin, nothing like a bit of upwind to see a bit of a mixture in the race.
Well, also we're just seeing that Group Amar's blast of speed they showed coming into Abu Dhabi was no fluke at all. This boat is very, very quick, and Frank Camas there at the wheel is certainly making the most of it. And it was watching there that dip, Wade Morgan waving them up from the bow of Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing to minimise the loss as best as possible. Craig Satterthwaite sitting out on the rail there, so you can see him sucking in the air to just try and keep his momentum going, because there's an awful lot more work to do in this race, and there's a lot more racing to do here.
We're on leg 2, heading up into the wind, up to the top mark. Now, Mike, it looks like there's some quite big differences in pressure on the course, and we're on board at the moment with Abu Dhabi and Ian Walker. What's it looking like? Looked like Group Amar had good pressure in the middle.
Yeah, Group Amar for sure came across in a really nice vein of breeze. We could actually see it on the water here. But one thing you do have to do with these boats is minimise the tacks, and so the guys don't want to be doing 10, 15 tacks up the beach. So they've really got to try and pick their lanes of breeze to work up. And once again we've seen here a Camper going probably 8, 10 boat lengths behind Group Amar, as Group Amar actually rolls into attack as we're speaking to sort of set up strong on the fleet, if you like.
Now, Mike, Group Amar have just tacked. How long does it take post-attack to get back up to target speed?
Oh, well, the boats get up to speed really quickly. I mean, you know, a canting keel boat's like having, you know, guys on a trapeze. You really do use the acceleration of the, you know, the keel swinging up.
Just losing, Mike, they were looking at Jules Salter there, who's the navigator, and he's scanning the course there, stroking his chin, wondering, well, what's the call going to be? Ian Walker just concentrating on trying to keep his boat going as fast as possible. And, you know, we talk a lot about there being, you know, not many, the leading boat just leaps away. It hasn't quite happened
No,
here yet.
it hasn't. And this is a true upwind. And really that has meant that it's created some passing opportunities. And Group Armour have taken that opportunity. It's a good, solid upwind leg. This is the best in-port race we've had, in my mind. It's
Well,
developing.
it's a race.
It's a proper race, and there's some passing options.
There's Abu Dhabi, how they would love to get pole position in this one, but Group Armour are really showing some substantial speed.
Yeah, guys, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but Abu Dhabi does look quite strong again out the right-hand side, which of course is the side that she gained down the run. So for sure, you know, I think her dip, you know, the boats were probably pretty close to bow when she went into a dip. And, you know, that's what the choice they had to make if they wanted to go right. And it'll be interesting to see when these boats come back together.
I wonder how much local knowledge is in that. I mean, Ian Walker's spent a long time sailing around these waters.
Yeah, just as I say that, Group Amar's wound up in a big lefty, so I'm just looking over my shoulder to make sure there isn't someone further left. And in fact, Telefonica's come out this way, but they're not looking like they've quite got the pressure to Group Amar. But Group Amar's certainly wound up now here in a big lefty, and Camp is obviously pretty happy to go this way because she's stuck in Group Amar's bad air, and if they thought there was any life tacking back onto starboard, I'm sure they would have done that. So for sure the fleet is pushing this way with purpose.
Looks like beautiful conditions. The wind is staying in. Onboard camper, Chris Nicholson. See Tony Ray, Robert Salthouse trimming. It's a good old puffy day, isn't it? Typical offshore type of condition. The wind bends around, and there's an effect of the city behind the wind, so the wind whistles between the buildings. But there's the winner at this stage. Group Amar ahead of Abu Dhabi, Camper third.
Looks like Abu Dhabi are just rolling into attack. So from my eye, Abu Dhabi have gained out that right-hand side, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them.
We're losing Mike again. The company's bursting in and out, but we can see what he was talking about. That Abu Dhabi have tacked onto starboard now, coming back in, and this cross is going to be interesting.
Oh, I think Abu Dhabi are ahead here. They
made a leap.
They took that dip, you know. They took the dip. Obviously, they wanted to go on the seaward side. So Ian Walker using local knowledge, using all his skill. Oh, you look at that. Oh, it's Mike. We'll go back out to Mike. Mike, the shot we've got of the boats converging. The bearing is going towards Abu Dhabi. It looks like they're ahead.
Yeah, Abu Dhabi's got a beautiful bit of right-hand action, and is going to comfortably cross Group Amar as we speak at the moment.
Well, we will be able to hear the cheers, no doubt. Big spectator fleet out here on the, well, presumably now on the edges of the course, having had the boat sail through them, and we watch Group Armour attack. With Etihad coming round, and all hands to the pumps, and there aren't many hands.
So Group Armour attack to leeward of Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi ahead. Mike, in relation to the top mark, ley lines, Abu Dhabi on that ley line to this mark?
Group Amar, I'm surprised they did that, to be honest. You know, Abu Dhabi was comfortably across, and this close to the turning mark, I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't just go and set up on Abu Dhabi's hip and just be comfortable with second round the mark, because there's plenty of course to go yet, plenty of opportunities, but they haven't. They've tacked to leeward, and yeah, I think they'll still be second round the mark, but they've certainly given Camper a breath of fresh air.
Mike, does that mean that Abu Dhabi, that Group Amar will need to do an extra tack?
Yeah, for sure. They will come into the mark though with good pace. However, they're going to be on port, and they'll be lining. You know, Camper will have them pretty lined up on starboard. It looks like they'll be fine, but yeah, they definitely might have made that a little bit harder for themselves.
Great shot from the helicopter there of Frank Camas, and you can see the pace that he's got on this French boat now. But we're here with Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing.
Masthead 0 up on Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing for the reaching leg. So about to see the biggest Genoa get unfurled on the boat.
So at Mark 3, it's going to be Abu Dhabi. They lead. There's a lead change on that upwind.
Groupama piling in, as Mike was saying. They've got a really good lick of speed on there on port tack, but well clear of the right-of-way boat, which is Camper coming in, but they're some way short of them now. At the mark now, Groupama.
Yeah, one thing that's interesting too with this race course is that the reaching leg is incredibly short, so it actually doesn't look like Abu Dhabi have bothered deploying their masthead 0 at this stage. You know, it looks like it's going to be a very short reach out and back, and they've really focused this race course on being a windward leeward.
Third around Camper with Emirates Team New Zealand on the charge. They've closed it up just a little bit. Is it going to be enough to mount a little bit of a challenge towards the second place Groupama? And well, what are we learning here? Anything about is this the vulnerable spot for these guys?
Well, not sure about that. I think this one's come down to pressure and positioning on the course. And I think really Abu Dhabi have done a fantastic job. They obviously had a game plan to come in from the right-hand side on the downwind.
And there'll be some disappointment here on Telefonica, the series leader, trailing. Did we see, Mike, did you see any reason why Telefonica should be trailing so badly?
Yeah, they had a terrible bottom mark rounding, and now it's just not their day. They've now just underlaid the top mark, and they're going to have to do 2 tacks right on the mark, and Puma for sure are going to be right on their hammer as they come into the mark here, and need to actually be pretty careful not to infringe here. But it looks like they'll be fine. But for sure they're going to be slow. Oh, no, there is an issue here.
Oh, that's definitely an issue there, Mike, at that mark. And it looks like Telefonica were not able to squeeze round the mark. Wouldn't surprise me to see a penalty here.
And Puma will roll them anyway, would be my guess here. Puma have got so much more pace. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the judges' call is here.
Well, there's a bit of a recovery here from Puma. That'll give a real lift to Kenny Reid at the helm there.
Well, that was a classic port starboard there.
What do you think might happen?
Well, it wouldn't surprise me to see a penalty, but now we're down. That was a very short leg in Abu Dhabi. So what are we at, Martin? We're at Mark 3, is that right?
A luff coming up here from Telefonica, guys. A big luff from Telefonica, trying to stop Puma going over the top of them.
Well, we're still with Abu Dhabi and Groupama. We'll try and get back to that action in a second and see where we're going. This is Frank Camas there coming round the mark, end of that very short reaching leg, and now there's Camper coming in to be third around the mark. That was a very short leg.
Very short. So Camper come round third. The effect, the dynamic effect of the canting keel as it moves through its 80 degrees from 40 degrees one side to the other. It almost rolls the boat through like a roll tack or roll jibe in a dinghy.
Well, Mike, you were talking about that before, about the swinging keel. I mean, how vital is the sort of timing on that to make it happen? I mean, it's almost like having a 70-foot dinghy.
Yeah, absolutely, it is critical, and you know, you're allowed to use the keel, you know, once to swing the boat back up as if you're roll tacking your laser dinghy or anything like, you know, anything that's small where your weight can have enough effect.
Here's a big tussle at the back of the fleet. Puma have got past Telefonica, but the Spanish boat is breathing down the American boat's neck. And Ken Reid will really want to try and make the most of this fight back from being dead last after conceding a penalty.
It doesn't look like there was a penalty. It looked pretty close to me, and I guess it's been ruled that Telefonica did enough to avoid as the boat required to keep clear. So Puma have got round Telefonica. on this very short lead.
Big battle at the back of the fleet.
You're wide on the mark.
I think the race committee have done a lovely job today because some days when it's really windy, the reaching legs can be exciting. But today it's all about the windward leeward, and we saw the passes, both upwind and downwind that was happening. So I think the race committee have done a good job in keeping the reaching legs short and getting the action into the windward leeward.
So we're on the reaching leg over to a small reaching mark, and it's Puma coming round. They are ahead of Telefonica.
Back to the leaders there. Now we've got Ian Walker driving. Well, I think have they made a little bit of a gain now? No, I mean, there's not much between them, and we've seen that, contrary to normal expectation in these short races, that there have been plenty of lead changes in this race. As you were saying, Pete, this is the most exciting import race that we've had so far, because of the lead changes and the fact that we've got a good steady breeze and the ability, as we've seen, for people to get by.
So Abu Dhabi going with their same downwind spinnaker that they used on the first leg, and because we've only got 10 guys on the boat, you don't even have enough time to pack the sails properly. So as we can see there with Abu Dhabi, she's just hatch hoist once again like a dinghy, a 500 square metre Jenica just straight out of the hatch, as if it was a 20-foot sport boat.
So in context of the race, Mike, this leg under Jenica is another passing opportunity if you can get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Group Hamar have done a really nice set, with what looks like it's going to be a very nice set right behind, and for sure Abu Dhabi's lead over Group Hamar is not that comfy, and Camper are only another 6-8 boat lengths behind, and so for sure these three have got all to play for. The other two are back away, but these three have certainly got it all to play for.
Up goes the kite on board the Spanish Kiwi boat. Now Wislang holding the jib in there up in the bow. Now, are we going to see any kind of dynamics now?
We're going to see this action again, Martin. If the boats stay on this jibe, that they end up in the spectator fleet again. They're over there to the right. So, Mike, how far to the spectator fleet Group Hamar and Abu Dhabi?
Oh, well, Abu Dhabi's managed to sneak down underneath the spectator fleet quite nicely, and Group Hamar's going charging back into it again. So for sure she's going to give some fans quite a sight. Camper have a small issue with their string line.
Just losing Mike there. Now we hear the leaders here. Ian Walker has put 100 metres on Frank Camas. Camper trying to make up ground as well, but how brilliant this could be for Ian Walker in home waters if he can carry this one on. And the virtue isn't showing it at the moment, but we know the spectators, the local guys, are really close in. A big fleet of boats come out from Dubai, more than 30 of them staying in the Emirates Palace Marina, and they've raced up here specifically to watch this action. And it's yachting enthusiasts coming in to watch the greatest ocean racing yachtsman in the world. And there's the local lad, Adil Khalid, giving it his all, as is always the case in these import races when you've got so few people on board.
Well, Martin, what's pleasing for Abu Dhabi is here, Group Hamar are coming with them. Ian Walker's got clear wind around the Jenica of Group Hamar. Looks like Camper had a problem at the top mark and have actually lost a bit of ground. So that really the race, the winning of this race is between Abu Dhabi and Group Hamar. We can see they're just sliding down.
We can see the spectator boats, that catamaran there, everything in reverse, trying to back out of the way, and this is going to be.
But for the boat in the lead, with the fleet really all going in procession, it makes it a little easier for Ian Walker and his Abu Dhabi team to defend their lead. We did see on the first time they went on this downwind, it was Group Hamar that rolled Camper. Are they pressed up enough? Have they got enough speed to actually come back at Abu Dhabi? Abu Dhabi have taken another 10 metres there, Martin.
Well, still a lot of racing to done, but that's a great shot though of Ian Walker there, and showing the pace that they've got. And if he is sailing by royal appointment, just behind him on his right-hand side, there he is Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, looking fairly relaxed. I wonder what he's making of all this, because Mind he's been lucky enough to be in some fairly privileged spots, but this is absolutely one of the spots to be in. As we say before, this is like racing with Michael Schumacher or Lewis Hamilton or Sebastian Vettel. It's just, you know, this is the Formula One of the season in many ways because of the pace. These are the, you know, the quickest monohulls playing this game, and the Duke of York there looking back, which is the view that Ian Walker would be enjoying as well, hoping he can hang on to it. There's a spectator fleet, just as I say, they were backing up pretty sharp to get out of the way of Camper and not affect his line. And I mean, you can't get closer to watching than that. I mean, look at the bow of that boat with all those people, the spectators on it, all waving and watching. And up on the bow, Mike Pammiter saying, "Get out of the way." No, it's Darrell Wislang, sorry, saying, "Please get out of the way," because he's losing ground. He wants to come up and he can't.
Well, the issue is wanting to change the angle of the boat to get the optimum angle, but also the shadowing effect of those windward boats on the sails. But it's the same for everyone.
Yeah.
The fleet are very compressed into the spectator boats, giving the spectators a visual feast.
Just a little bit more of a gain there. And this is on board Groupama. We're looking back here at again, we're seeing the pace that the angles give us a good idea of just how quickly they're going, and that kite's still filling very nicely. Nice bow wave coming up off Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing.
Yeah, we look at the sails, the yellow Jenica of Abu Dhabi looked pretty solid. It wasn't looking a little bit soft in the luff. For me, they are gaining on Groupama. We could see their sail just looking a little bit softer. That's the white sail on the left. Certainly when the sails are pressed up, they've got pressure, it equates to more speed. And the bow wash coming up Abu Dhabi, Azam are in a good position. Abu Dhabi now jibing.
Very smoothly done. Groupama we expect will go likewise. Justin Slattery up on the bow of Abu Dhabi just checks it all as well as they reset, both boats executing that jibe nicely, and coming up tight onto the next mark.
Well, the seconds going down towards that start finishing area again for the second lap. Certainly lots of turning marks, which just gives it plenty of variety, but it's all Abu Dhabi. To me, Martin, they've consolidated their lead now. They've got the two, Groupama and Camper, well in control. So Ian Walker really is in the box seat.
Yeah, guys, I'm not sure.
Adil Khalid, if you've got enough breath in you to talk to us, how's it going?
Still breathing.
Still breathing.
Good pressure. Get around this mark, set up with a string drop. We're going to go right. Seems to be the best pressure today. We did it all out the first run and up those first beats, so we're looking pretty strong. Got us an hour.
On board there with Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, and as you can see, having to absolutely suck that in, that is really seriously hard work. Stretching it, Peter.
No, I think they're in a strong position of consolidating. The other two boats are well covered, and it's all Abu Dhabi. They're heading down Ian Walker.
There's the Duke of York at the back, and would be interested to know what he thinks of all this. Okay, and we're joined here in the commentary box by Matt Sheehan from Yachting World, technical editor of Yachting World. Seen regattas all over the world, and what do you make of what you're watching here today, Matt?
Well, it's pretty interesting, isn't it? I've been out with these boats the last 2 days, the practice racing and also the Pro-Am stuff, and it's very interesting to see. I mean, first of all, Ian Walker's going to be absolutely delighted to be here. Of course, he's still going to get to the finish in this position, but let's not forget he has had a pretty miserable time in the first two offshore legs. It's been desperate. I talked to him last night, and he was trying to sort of hang on to the positives, and he felt there was a lot of expectations on them early on. in the race. They went out and they won the import race in Alicante. They went steaming off the line in the first offshore leg. Very, very powerful position, and then it all went wrong for them, and they've been waiting and struggling and fighting to get back into this position. So it's one thing to be leading the fleet in your home port, that's absolutely superb, but he's going to be, if he can make this stick, he's going to be so pleased at the end of this, because he's going to hope that he's thrown that jinx off that has been on his back all the way down there.
The monkey on the back for Ian Walker. Well, maybe this is shedding it out on the water there, Mike Sanderson. I mean, you've had your problems, but you would have some empathy with Ian Walker.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they've had a tough time like we have, and they'll be very excited to be in the position they are. But looking back upwind, I mean, they won't be that excited. It's looking very patchy. For sure, it's the lightest it's been, and so it isn't. You know, they would have been hoping for a nice steady 15 knots, and then this position they're in would be pretty much a given. But it's not. That's not the case. So they've got their hands full still.
Justin Slattery just spiking the kite away, just slamming his, well, it's like his pair of pliers, his Gerber, whatever it is, and to release that sail back, it's come all over them. And this is all part of the business of not having enough people on board, Matt.
Absolutely. I sailed with Telefonica on the practice day and then Group Armour yesterday. And I tell you, the one thing that comes across on these boats time and time again is how understaffed they are. I mean, bear in mind, these are 70-foot boats, hugely powerful boats. In normal racing people's terms, you know, they've only got 10 on board these boats. At a normal amateur regatta like Cowswick or something like that, you'll find 40-footers crewed by 15 people. And they're sailing a boat that's twice the size, but with 3 or 4 times the sail area, with 10, and it is just, it's relentless. And
well, just watching that manoeuvre there, you could see that there was the potential for trouble, Pete, with that kite in the water.
Yes, certainly if the Jenica goes in the water, it acts like a sea anchor, and once they hit the water and they fill, it's very difficult to get them in.
Shrimping.
And
any of that today.
So Group Armour, a second round, looking up, it was Abu Dhabi. They were pressed up, they were still had heel angle. It's just a little bit alarming to hear what Mike Sanderson was saying as he looked up towards the top mark. The effect of the sea breeze trying to build late in the afternoon may mean that these trailing boats, if they can keep close enough, there's still some opportunities left. So Camper now coming in on board, down below on Camper.
Mike Paminter, the man with the broken teeth, he's yanking this big kite in, and well, we've said it's hard work, and there's a testament to it. And Mike, we're watching Camper, well, just sort of struggling really with any breeze. It looks horribly light.
Yeah, they got caught with their, you know, a little bit deep coming into the mark, which you know, which is always tough in these boats to pick ley lines, so that is, you know, your final approach into the mark. And yeah, the problem of being short-staffed certainly makes that feel twice as bad. But they've chosen the other gate mark, and as we look up,
so we're just losing Mike. But I think what Mike was saying, they've created a split. And of course, when you're behind, if you can create a bit of leverage, and as I look at Puma and Telefonica coming in, the wind looks quite solid on that left-hand side. If you're a Camper fan, I'm sure we'll go across and have a look at Abu Dhabi again in a minute and see how much pressure they've got as we're on board Telefonica. Telefonica came in, they're trailing, they got past at that top mark by Puma.
Well, they're looking pretty pressed up at the moment still. That's encouraging.
Looks quite a bit of pressure coming in from that side of the course. It's Kenny Reid.
Oh, Mike out there, the pressure's not looking too bad at the moment.
no, it's not looking too bad. It looks bad on the water, and yeah, Telefonica have got their masthead code 0 up as if they're going to use that for the beat. So they obviously saw the same thing that I did, which was lots of big holes. So yeah, I think it's looking still a little patchy.
So Mike, looking up the course, left or right, where's the pressure? Because we've still got a few moves left in this game.
Yeah, for sure we've got some moves. I mean, what Camper have done a nice job in generating a split. So I don't think they really picked left or right. I think they picked where the other guys didn't go. But as we say, that Abu attacked on the starboard now. Pressure of anyone.
Just getting the mic getting clipped again there as Puma come into the gate, make their choice.
Bottom mark gate. I like the idea. I like the idea of these bottom mark gates, Martin. It gives options. For Telefonica coming in, Telefonica haven't actually got a head sail up with a code 0. Now you can see the effect of the Jenica in the water. This is a problem for Telefonica. They've got Spinnaker in the water. They do not have a Genoa or a code 0 hoisted, so they're having a few issues on board in this import race.
It's going from bad to worse on the Spanish boat.
So
Well,
Telefonica.
that's messy. Look at that, no head sail on, and you can just imagine that there would be some words being exchanged here, one would suspect.
But Martin, again, it's this short-handed scenario. You really get caught out if something's not quite right. You don't have enough hands.
Virtual Eye whizzing is up the course to the lead as Ian Walker, keeping that buffer, keeping it reasonably steady. He's grown it out to 180 plus. But as Mike Sanderson was saying, it's possibly developing into a little bit more of a lottery up in the top as the wind lightens. Back with us, Mike?
Yeah, it's as we just speak here, Campers rolling into attack. I mean, they've still got 7 knots.
We're losing Mike again. We'll try and come back to Mike in a minute. Camper life lovers, well, we're sort of liking life at the moment. At least they're on the podium, but they'd like to be doing a bit more than that.
Yeah, Camper came over to the left. They did have the option of creating a bit of leverage with really that split that was given to the bottom mark. But certainly when we were looking at the animation, it was still Abu Dhabi had a solid lead over Group Amar and then Camper. This upwind, and we look up the course now with Virtual Eye. It's certainly looking very good for Abu Dhabi.
Well, we'll have to hope you're not delivering the commentator's curse.
Martin, it's starting to look like consolidation, though, isn't it? I think Ian Walker has played this beautifully. He took that risk at the start on that first downwind, got the advantage.
Was it a risk? Was it local knowledge?
Well,
we'll
exactly.
be able to ask him afterwards.
I think it was certainly a planned move. And Ian Walker has done a great job. And they're fully pressed up. They're not falling into an area of quiet wind as we look at Abu Dhabi, Group Amar.
Beautiful shot with the light there here in Abu Dhabi, and their plan here to turn this area into well, this is just absolutely playing into it, isn't it, really, that this is you've played many compliments to this place where you've been here with sailing teams, and this is great racing.
Well, I think it's a winter destination that has a lot of potential for people in the Northern Hemisphere. And today, actually, with this sort of semi-offshore breeze, is probably the tricky direction for them to race in, because you do have the effect of the sea breeze trying to come in. But luckily for this race, the wind has been relatively steady. But there has been enough in it for the trailing boats to have an opportunity, and we've seen some real quality lead changes.
Okay, Mike Sanderson, you back with us?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'm out here. I'm out here beside Group Amar, and yeah, the breeze has hung in there. But as you were saying, Abu Dhabi's for sure consolidated her lead, and might have given up a little bit of it just to make sure she's got Group Amar well in touch.
Beautiful picture there of the bows of our first and second place boats in this Etihad Airways import regatta of the Volvo Ocean Race here in Abu Dhabi. And Matt Sheehan, Peter Lester were there, was talking about this as a destination for yachting in the winter. I would imagine it would have an enormous appeal for you as a British sailor in the middle of winter.
It certainly does, yes. I mean, I've just come out here straight from rather cold conditions at home. We're in dry suits and woolly hats and balaclavas and gloves, and to come out here is fantastic. I think I agree with Peter. I think it's a fantastic destination for racing. It's challenging. We've now got high performance boats. These are very powerful boats, and they're able to sail in light breezes, which is one of the things that has dogged racing over the years. Possibly one of the reasons why light weather venues haven't been that popular in the past. But these boats only need a few knots to get themselves powered up, and they're hard work. You're constantly seeing people, as we are now, grinding away. No one ever stands still for any length of time at all. It's full on, even in the light weather.
And we're seeing passing lanes. We've seen overtaking manoeuvres. We've had all the drama and excitement you can ask. It hasn't been like one has just leapt away.
Absolutely, and the practice race day before yesterday was very, very similar to this. We saw some big changes in the lead. A lot of it was about handling, and what's fascinating is to see, we've seen a sort of extreme example of it here, is when you make a little mistake, as you've both been saying, you make a little mistake, you get punished severely. The kite comes down over the top of the pedestals, the grinders, they can't then sheet the jib in, the whole thing starts to come crashing down, and so there's a big premium on getting boats around the course, and these tight courses. And in the past, right at the early days, Camper appeared to be pretty good at getting around the corners. They're very, very good crew work, but these guys on Abu Dhabi have really stepped up to the mark now, and they're proving to be pretty smart too, as we're seeing now.
The big wide grin on Adil Khalid, number one. He's saying, well, he's just hoping that they can hang on. He'll be the happiest little chappie in Abu Dhabi if Ian Walker, his skipper, can pull this one off, and you won't wipe that grin off his face for a very long time. But Mike Sanderson, Matt Shin there was talking about being short-handed. You know what it's like in these races. Is it as grim as it looks?
Yeah, for sure, it's pretty tough, and but today's been a beautiful day for sailing, so it's 10, 12 knots, it's about as good as it gets. Lighter than that, it gets hard again, because you're into masthead code zeros, which are just an absolute mess.
We're just losing Mike again. It must be the breeze knocking having a pop at the string between the cocoa tins. But that's the position that we've got at the moment, and Peter's looking pretty good at the moment, without being the commentator's curse for Abu Dhabi.
Yes, I think from the moment they went round that bottom mark, it looked pretty good for Abu Dhabi. But another point I'd like to jump on, Martin. I think the race management guys have done a good job today. They've made the upwind down leg portion of the race probably out to maximum length, and shortened up the reaching legs where really there's very little opportunity for passing lane, and that reaching leg was so short that they pretty well just two sail reached it. So I think today's course format and the shape of the course has been better than what we've seen at the two previous import races.
Well, what we want to see in any of this racing is the ability to generate some way of making an overtaking move. We know there's not a huge amount of difference in points of sail, so then it becomes a race of crew work and boat positioning, and you get the excitement of a lead change. It would be terribly sad if it was all just a procession, and I think your point about the race management will be well taken on board. Maybe they've looked at some of the courses in the previous two imports and thought, it's not quite working, but this one sure seems to. Well,
there's been plenty of discussion, and I'm sure from the teams, and also, I think you and I have touched on it, but look, we've got to give them a rap today. I think this course, given what it is, downwind start, and they're always tricky, but we have seen proper downwinds and proper upwinds where, boats have actually passed each other. It's been a good course.
Okay, Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi consolidating their lead here in the Etihad Airways import race in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi, in the international team, charge around Mark 6. And if they can hang on to this, there's going to be hats flying at the other end of the line, especially with the supporters of this young man here, Adil Khalid, just 23 years old, one of the 3 under-30s on the boat. Fought off competition from 120 other Emiratis to get this role. and this is what he has been living for quite some time here in his home port. Groupama now coming in second to Mark 6.
Well, there's not a long way to go now for Abu Dhabi and Groupama as we see code 0 being hoisted.
Mike Sanderson out there, can you see any change at all in what we've got, or are we looking at a finishing order?
I think we're looking at a finishing order, to be honest. It's, the breeze is hanging on, even though it's probably down at 5 to 6 knots. Groupama have gone with a code 0. Well, they've certainly hoisted it, as have Camper. Abu Dhabi are just reaching it with their jib up, so they think they've got a big enough lead just to try and hang on with the 2 sails.
Still showing a nice turn of speed there.
It's amazing how much speed they generate in very little wind, and Groupama have gone for a bit more sail area, as Mike pointed out, putting code 0 up on the outside of their Genoa, and they have a solid lead over Camper, Chris Nicholson. We can see that Camper also have a code 0 hoisted. As they come in towards the mark, very distinctive. I love the colours on these boats. They're certainly coloured sails, coloured boats. It looks for great images. Stu Ballantyne on the grinding there. Tony Ray immediately behind on the main. As Camper come towards Mark 6. Just going across that short dog leg. Well, Martin, in terms of context of the offshore for the Volvo Ocean Race, I don't know if we've learnt too much. I think today has been a tactical battle in my mind. I mean, there's always a question mark of one boat faster than the other reaching, but I think this race today has been dominated really by Ian Walker, sailing a very tactical, astute race.
Well, I'm going to be really interested to have a chat with him afterwards and find out. We muttered about local knowledge because it seemed like it was either that or a gamble, and I don't think he was in a position then when he would have wanted to gamble. He seemed to know what he was doing and what he wanted to do. So if it was local knowledge, then he's executed it absolutely brilliantly, and he's just got to hang on to it. So.
Yeah, if you remember, guys, Abu Dhabi actually set up and started on port. So they were up at the committee boat end and started on port. Took everyone's transom. So it was something, 2.5 minutes out or something as far back as that. They had decided to go down that side of the run. So I think it might have been local knowledge or something that, the afterguard of either Ian Walker or Rob Greenhouse, Jules Salter. I mean, they got some good guys, good sets of eyes on board that year.
Yeah, I think to me it looked like a strategy. Now, Matt, you're very good at, analysing performance. Your take on today's race, have we learned anything today about these performance of boats?
I think we have. I think what we're starting to see, and we've been seeing this in the practice race as well, I think we're starting to see the strengths and weaknesses of various teams starting to come out. One of the teams that quite surprises me, that we haven't spoken much about, mainly because they've been training at the back of the fleet, is Telefonica. I mean, they are a very, very proficient team. They've showed how good they are offshore. Very slick, very smart, but they're struggling around the cans, and they have been struggling around the cans. The last couple of days has been difficult for them. The manoeuvres, they tend to fall over a little bit quicker than the others. We've seen people have caught up with Camper. I think Camper on the import stuff, they were very strong offshore as well, but on the import stuff, they started off as they were the datum. They were the ones to try and get to. A lot of people are now catching up. We're seeing Ian Walker is now right up there. Of course, they won an import race in Alicante as well, so there are no newcomers to it. So, and Groupama are also starting to find their feet. So I think overall, we thought right at the beginning of this whole series, before they even left Alicante, that the chances were that this was going to be a very, very closely fought race around the world. And I think the way we've seen so far, 2 offshore legs, a couple of import races, I think this really is shaping up to be one of the closest Volvo round the world races that we've ever seen.
Well, I think there's absolutely no doubt about that, and thanks for that, Matt Sheehan. That's for that analysis. I think that it's what Ian Walker said. He gets a pat on the back from the Duke of York, who is lucky enough. Jules Salter gets a pat on the back from Ian Walker as they get ready to take the gun here in the Etihad Airways in Port Race.
Well, Martin,
Winners are grinners. Ian Walker drops down to the leeward wheel. They're heading in towards the finish line now. And what a win this is going to be. The celebrations are about to begin because Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing is about to cross the line to win the Etihad Airways in-port race of the Volvo Ocean Race. Ian Walker, what a hero. Adil Khalid waves the flag of the United Arab Emirates. The pictures tell it all. This is a terrific moment for these guys on board Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing. They've been really in the gun so many times since this race began, and really this is a quite remarkable achievement, and they'll be absolutely thrilled with what they've done, and relieved, I would imagine, Pete.
well, you know, the disappointment and elation of sailing in the Volvo Ocean Race, I'm sure the last thing on their mind was when they dropped that rig in leg one, but now to come back so strongly and win the inshore in-port race here in Abu Dhabi. Groupama, again, another top shelf performance by Groupama. They come across second. They've got to be the most improved team in the Volvo. They started off with a disappointing first leg, but haven't they bounced back brilliantly here in Abu Dhabi. But it's all about Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing winning their home port race, and that must have a positive effect for sailing in this part of the world.
Okay, Mike Sanderson, well, your summation of this.
Yeah, obviously they're going to be hugely excited on Abu Dhabi. I mean, they sailed well, they had a strong plan, they executed it well, their crew work was really tidy, and, you know, I think it's just a huge day for them. I think, though, to be honest, a team which is going to be very, very pleased with their performance is going to be Groupama. You know, 2 weeks ago she showed just blistering pace, reaching in breeze, and now she's shown that she's not all bad in light airs. So I almost wonder if they'll be the happiest people when we hit the dock tonight.
On board Camper as they head in for third spot. Well, they've done it again. They're going to be on the podium. They are being Mr. Consistency, but I don't think they're going to be altogether thrilled.
No, they haven't sparkled, but again, they're on the podium, valuable points. They have, you know, got some points back on Telefonica as the race leader, so that's important to them. But really, Camper don't look like they're really hitting their straps, but they're not far from it, Martin. But Groupama are really putting the shot across their bow by beating them from Sharjah to Abu Dhabi, and now also beating them in the import race here in Abu Dhabi.
Third spot for Camper with Emirates Team New Zealand. As we're saying, yet another podium. So they'll get a slight champagne soaking with, I understand, date champagne later on. But here we've got Adil Khalid, and does he look happy or what? I mean, you know, what more could he possibly ask for? And he'll be able to savour these memories when the going gets a little bit grimmer down the track. Okay, so here we've got Puma coming in, Puma Ocean Racing. Amazingly good recovery, having been subject to a penalty on the first leg of this race. And I mean, that'll be a pretty gut-wrenching, well, good for Puma as we're looking now at Ken Reid, but Telefonica trailing, they'll be...
Puma jumped the line, and that was costly. If that time on distance, small error, they were certainly looking good off the line, but in many ways, Martin, they'll be pleased to get one boat back. It's very hard to recover if you've had a premature start.
Yeah, so that's one back, so he'll get some satisfaction out of that, but having looked so good at the front, he'll be a little bit dark, I would imagine. But I think, you know, Matt Sheehan's point earlier on about the fact that everything's being thrown wide open by all this racing and how close it can be, anybody can win.
Yeah, it's very, very close as Puma go over the line. They'll put their one down, I'm sure. Their debrief will solely come down to the being on the course side of the line at the gun. Then Telefonica comes back. They come in 5th. They've really had a disappointing day in terms of, and probably the first disappointing day they have had in the Volvo Ocean Race.
Well, that's a very good point. Now, I hope we maybe got Ian Walker able to talk to us. There he is. Ian, are you hearing us there?
Yeah, I can hear you, Martin.
Oh, well, listen, you can probably hardly hear us with the people cheering around you. Ian Walker, huge congratulations. Now, tell us, we're all itching to know, was that move at the beginning of the race, was that a gamble or local knowledge from your sailing there?
Well, it was just a decision, really. Largely, we thought the spectator boats were very close to the course on the right-hand side and would affect the wind, so we thought, you know what, if we just so wanted to win this race, and we thought we're prepared to take some risks to try and win the race, because we knew if we could win the race, it would be a very, very special day for everyone.
Now, Ian, another big moment in the race was on that first upwind. You were bow to bow at a port starboard. You elected to dip. That was, to me, that was the defining moment. Just talk us through the tactical mindset when you went into that dip.
Well, it was an easy decision because we weren't going to tack under them there, so close to the ley line. But, you know, they gained on us on the right. I really thought that around the leeward mark we were going to be gone. We really thought the left would pay. The right came good, and we were very lucky. Groupama let us get to the right of them, and from then on, we never gave them a chance or a passing lane back at us. So, yeah, I'm grateful we were able to do it. Very hard for them to defend that, because if they tack under us, there's every chance we roll them.
At the moment, Ian, we're seeing a shot of Adil Khalid flying the flag there. Try and put into words what this win means.
Well, I think you know, we're involved in a 9-month odyssey, you know, around the world, and it's made of lots of little bits. But you know, today is probably the most important day for Abu Dhabi. I don't think we've ever seen this many boats ever out in Abu Dhabi to watch a race. Many people new to the sport, and right now all they can see is their country flag being waved, and it's a real thrill to you know, to let that happen. And don't forget, we've had a tough time, you know, breaking the mast, tough second leg. We've had a pretty rough ride of it in the last 6 weeks, so maybe everyone can sleep well tonight.
What do you think it might do for you?
Well, I wouldn't say it will renew our confidence, because we've never lost our confidence. We feel that we've only just started in this race. I think the main thing is just enjoy the moments. You know, we've said all along, 1 minute you're first, the next minute you're last. Like Telefonica, you know, they looked unbeatable, and then today they had a bad one. And so I think the message is you've got to enjoy the good moments and not beat yourself up when it doesn't go so well.
Okay, Duke of York on back. Has he given you the royal seal of approval?
Yeah, no, it's a very special day, and we, you know, the team lost a very dear friend in the last fortnight, Michaela Allen. So, you know, I'd just like to dedicate this win to her. She means an awful lot to us.
Okay, Ian Walker, congratulations.
Thank you.
So, Pete, give us a quick summing up.
Oh, impressive race. In terms of, this was an inshore race that we'd expect. I don't think I've learned anything necessarily about the hardware, anything that we didn't know. But in terms of the race, as Ian said, big moment for them. They created some split. They took a risk. They capitalised on that. And on that second upwind, they retook the lead and never looked back.
Okay, well, here's the, provisional results of the Etihad Airways in-port race. Ian Walker, the local lad, if you like, has really come good. Takes the maximum points. Frank Camas in second with Groupama. Chris Nicholson will be pleased with his 4 points, more especially because Ika Martinez on Team Telefonica only gets 2. Ken Reid picking up the 3 points there. So that means that overall, Camper, Emirates Team New Zealand, have clawed back a couple of points on Team Telefonica, closing the game up again. Likewise, Groupama are doing nicely. Puma have got a few more points on the board, but there's still that split halfway into the fleet. So, well, I think that, you know, what Matt Sheehan was saying before, that this looks like it could be the most open of all. Matt Sheehan, one quick word to close.
Yeah, well, I think it's amazing. It's been a superb day. We've sort of said an awful lot of it, and I think it just goes to show how this race is about people. We've concentrated on the technology a lot, and sure, that's important. It certainly gets me excited. But what a day to prove that this race is really just about people, and we're seeing people stepping up to the plate, changing their game plan, and we're seeing people. Oh, I thought they were going to be chucked in the water.
Going for a swim.
Yes, we are
There
going for a
is.
swim.
Mike Sanderson, if you're still with us, a very quick word.
Yeah, you ought to all go out here. They're throwing people in the water off the Abu Dhabi boat. They're so excited with their results. So, no, very great race.
Okay, we're losing Mike again. Hopefully we'll get that one sorted out, that gremlin, before tomorrow. But, you know, if you'd written a script for Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, it would have been deemed far too corny. There's Adil Khalid. He said his dream was to race on a winning Volvo 70 into his home port, and well, his dream has come true in the Etihad Airways import race here in Abu Dhabi. Now they go into the restart on leg 3 of this Volvo Ocean Race, fired up with renewed confidence, and we all, I think, are watching a Volvo Ocean Race that has never been quite so wide open. So we look forward to bringing you the restart action, but until then, from a really jubilant Abu Dhabi, from an incredibly jubilant Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing team, we wish you a good evening. Look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, and from Abu Dhabi and the Volvo Ocean Race, goodbye.